Hello, my name's Steve, and I'm a writer at Twinkl. Today I'd like to share with you the first chapter of one of our newest stories. It's called Phyllis and the Fossil Finders. Chapter 1. At least two good things about a storm. More game progress online for now, and a better chance of fossil finding later, Jacob said with a grin as he adjusted his headset on his ears. Yeah, I'm with you on the first one of those, Jay. You're still on your own for the second, though, Faisal chuckled. Do you think this rain is ever going to stop? Nikisha moaned as her avatar ransacked the corridors of a newly discovered stronghold and collected more glowing fire opal. Outside Jacob's window, water ran down the seaside village road in rapid streams. Below the steep cliffs, the sea pounded the bay with ferocious waves. Doesn't seem like it. Feels like it's been chucking it down for weeks, said Faisal. He was following Nikisha's character on her path of destruction through the fortress in their online game, Raider's Peril. They'd been playing for hours that morning already. Actually, Jacob chipped in via his microphone, the storm arrived on Wednesday night, so it's only been 2 and a bit days. The TV forecast said it should have passed by now. I'm pretty sure it will stop eventually. He glanced out through the window at the swirling black sky over the coast. He admired the view from his den where his computer was set up. Having no brothers or sisters meant that the spare room in Jacob's house was something that Jacob's friends all envied. Books lined the shelves along one entire side, and his dinosaur and fossil posters covered most of the opposite wall. Every available surface was crowded with dinosaur models, remains of science experiment kits, or Jacob's rocks and shells. His hamsters, Steg and Rex, even had rocks and shells inside their cage. All 3 of his best friends liked playing Raider's Peril. Only Jacob was a big fan of science, though. Okay, Mr. Weatherman, we get it, Faisal's voice laughed through everyone's headphones. Where's Gabby, anyway? Didn't she say that she'd be online again this morning? Gone for another hospital checkup with her stepmom, said Nikisha. Said she's been feeling really tired and dizzy again this week. Reckon she'd be done by lunch though, so she'll probably be back any time now. I hope we can go outside again when she is. Feels like we're just not as effective as without her on here. Hope she's okay, said Faisal, as their characters raided treasure chests in an underground dungeon. Anyone thought of a new guild name for us yet? Jacob had pitched his idea before, but wasn't ready to let it drop yet. I still think Fossil Finders 4 is the coolest, he said. Faisal shot him down. Not that again. Maybe if we were all fossil finders and not just you? Jacob's thumb was poised over the joystick on his controller, ready to grab a topaz spear from the stronghold wall. Before he got chance, however, his head spun sideways, towards the den window again. A jagged fork of lightning zipped through the sky and flashed through the blur of midday rain. The lightning connected with the headland along the bay and vanished into the mist again as quickly as it arrived. Whoa! Anyone else see that? Shouted Faisal. Wicked lightning, Nikisha responded. Jacob had dropped his controller into his lap and squeezed his hands under his headphones to avoid hearing the deep rumble of thunder that followed. His eyes were squeezed shut and he pulled his chin into his chest. He counted to 10 to be sure that the sound had stopped. Tentatively, he peeled open one eye, then the other. He slid his hands out from under his earphones. Before he had chance to pick up his controller again, the screen in front of him crackled, then turned black. He blinked. He tapped the side of the screen. Nothing. There was no red light showing on the console. No voices coming from his headphones. Power must have gone off, he thought, just when they were making such great progress in Raider's Peril. Within moments, the doorbell rang. Jacob ran downstairs to answer it. Nikisha, how'd you get here so quick? What, from 3 doors away? She quipped, with a wide grin as she stepped inside. She gave her textured black hair a quick shake. As she was taller than Jacob, he got a brief shower from the drips that were flung from her tightly curled locks. Power off here too? His friend closed the door behind herself as she breezed into Jacob's kitchen and plonked herself on a stool at the breakfast bar. Jacob followed, taking off the headset that he was still wearing. That game probably won't have saved properly with the power going off so suddenly. You know, the autosave will have happened before we completed that last raid, he said. Chill, Jacob. We'll nail it again later. Nikisha smiled as she flicked through his Young Paleontologist magazine on the countertop. Jacob watched her glance straight past an awesome article all about ichthyosaurs, barely registering it. It wasn't long before the doorbell rang for a second time. That'll be Fires, said Nikisha. Jacob opened the door. Faisal immediately dived inside out of the pelting downpour. He'd only come from a little further up the street. The rain must have lashed at him the whole way. He dripped all over the rug. Oh man, look at these new trainers. Flipping weather. Tried to jump that massive puddle by your front gate but didn't make it, did I? Faisal stopped by the mirror in the hallway to smooth his jet black hair back into place before wandering into the kitchen to join Nikisha. Jacob followed again. That game won't have saved properly, Faisal said, shaking his head. Honestly, you two. You're more alike than you think, laughed Nikisha. Did you see the lightning though? Faisal asked. I think it hit the top of the headland, you know. I once read that a lightning bolt contained 1 billion volts of electricity, Jacob offered. It might have taken out a tree, Faisal continued. Nah, I think it hit the side of the cliff. Maybe we should check it out, Nikisha suggested. Jacob thought of the coastline of their village, which curved around the edge of the bay. He wondered if the lightning could have caused any damage to the rocks by the sea. The area was known to visitors as the Jurassic Coast, but Jacob knew that the local geology contained just as much history from the Triassic and Cretaceous eras too. No one seemed to mention those as much. I ain't going back out there in a hurry, Faisal was saying. Oh, come on you two, it's only a bit of rain. You won't dissolve, Nikisha pleaded. Jacob pictured himself and his friends rushing around the beach like zombies as the falling rain started to dissolve them. People don't dissolve, he reassured himself. It's rocks and soils that are eroded by the rain and wind, not us. Actually, it might make for good fossil hunting conditions after the storm passes, he suggested. Neither of his friends seemed to hear him though. Nikisha was teasing Faisal about the amount of excess hair gel that might wash down his face if they were to go outside again. The doorbell rang for a third time. What's going on here? Called Jacob's mum from the lounge. It's like Piccadilly Circus. Jacob opened the door to let Gabby in, thinking that the famous Piccadilly Circus in London was not very busy if it only had 3 or 4 people passing through. I knew you would all be here, Gabby announced as she plodded in to join the others. How come you're not in the den? Have you raided that new stronghold yet? Oh, and did you see the lightning? Nikisha filled her in on how they'd carried out their raid and found new gems and weapons. Then the power had gone off, around the same time as the lightning, and they'd probably need to do it all over again. How are you anyway, Gabs? Everything okay with the checkup? She asked. Oh, you know, still just feeling tired and worn out easily. Got another appointment in a couple of weeks. Hey, let's go up to the den. I've got something cool to tell you. Something really weird happened out there, Gabby said. Intrigued, they dashed upstairs after her, Jacob being the last into his own den. Nikisha crashed onto the sofa bed. Faisal spun around in the swivel chair at the desk. Jacob sat on his beanbag as Gabby held court in the middle of the room. He worried about her sometimes, always feeling exhausted, but he admired her positivity too. "I swear this is true," she began. Faisal groaned and played with the spinning globe on the desk. "Honestly, guys," Gabby continued, "we were in the car, just coming back down the main road into the village. We saw the lightning come down from the sky. You can ask my stepmom if you don't believe me. It zapped somewhere into the side of the cliff in the bay." "Told you," shouted Nikisha. "Yeah, but that's not all," said Gabby. "Afterwards, you could see this weird thing coming from near where it had struck. For a few seconds, it was like the cliffside was glowing or something. I'm telling you, it was really strange." The group looked at one another. Jacob eyed Gabby suspiciously, thinking that lightning couldn't make rocks glow. But then he pondered. It did contain 1 billion volts of electricity. "See? We should check it out," Nikisha repeated. She jumped up from the sofa bed and looked out through the window. "The rain is definitely stopping. I can see some blue sky through the clouds now." Faisal covered his face with his hands and groaned even louder. He swiveled round to turn his back on the others, giving the globe one more spin. "Jacob, you up for it?" Gabby looked him in the eye. Jacob considered whether he was being pushed for the casting vote. He couldn't quite tell what Gabby's stare was supposed to mean. He didn't want to upset anyone. Thought it highly unlikely that they would see any glowing rocks or frazzled trees. However, there might be some fresh ammonites washed up on the beach, or unusual shells uncovered for his collection. "Those clouds are clearing," he said, motioning towards the window. "And if the power's off everywhere, can't do much inside, we may as well go out for a bit." "Ugh, fine," said Faisal, as it became clear that he was outvoted. That's the end of chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you'd like to read on and find out more of what happens to the gang. For now, I'll see you soon. Bye.